I wrote, man, I ran out of water too.
And we're live. Welcome to the OUYACast, episode 23, recorded on Saturday, July 26, 2014. Your weekly source for the latest news, games, and hacks for OUYAns everywhere. I'm Brandon from OUYACentral.tv.
And I'm Steve from OUYABrew.com. Thanks for joining us again for episode 23. We're
20.
just chugging along, man. It's
Yes,
like
sir.
25 soon. That's like a quarter of 100. That's amazing.
Wow.
It's almost as old as I am.
But
I wish.
welcome to the OUYACast, and we have quite a bit to talk about today. We have a guest developer, as you know from our tweets, Davis Ray Sigmund Jr., and he's going to talk about Crucible, talk about Jumpman Forever, and what else we got?
We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're gonna get to him. He's got a couple amazing games for the Ouya. So real quick, just as a recap, right? Uh, the Elysian Shadow guys, we had them on last podcast, right?
All right, last
That
week.
was pretty intense. There was like five of those guys.
Yeah, we had a crowd. It was our
We're, we're,
biggest
we're- yeah, right. No, go ahead, say it.
our biggest group of developers and web developers and pixel artists. It was interesting.
Well, I felt bad for the one guy. I think his name was Daniel because he, I guess, was getting feedback on his mic. So like everybody else was talking, and like he didn't say a thing the whole show because he, every time he turned his mic on, it was like doing some kind of crazy, like weird echo or something like that. So like he was pretty much out the whole show. But it was pretty interesting to hear about the project and just see what they were working on.
Yeah, they got a really good game that they've been developing for a long time. So it'd be great to see them come to fruition. In Ouya deals this week, we got BolaWare's Seven, something like
Sven,
that.
Sven. It's a Swedish
Seven.
word, Sven.
Oh, okay.
Like
um,
you ever seen Titanic where they get into the room and the guy's like, "Where's Sven?" It's kind of like that.
okay, Sven. It's a classic retro 2D jump and run adventure game. $2 until July 29th, 60% off. So you guys, and it has a free to try. So that's good. Always good to
Absolutely.
try. Free to try.
Yeah, man. I love free to try games. They're my favorite. And we actually have a new game that just hit the store, which I've been waiting for forever. And tell us, what is it? Yes, you got it
To-
on the screen.
Toto Tempo Deluxe.
Yeah, buddy. I am so stoked. I just saw it. Actually, I knew it came out earlier, but I just saw it for the first time like half an hour ago, and I haven't got a chance to play it yet. But I've been waiting so long to play this game.
Oh yeah, and look, it supports Ouya and the Mojo, so that's a
Oh,
plus too.
nice. Heck yeah. Although apparently there's a hack which I'm going to post on my website later, but I think you even posted it on yours where you can now get the Ouya store as well as all of your purchases, I believe, on pretty much any Android device. There's just like a couple APKs you got to side load, and
Right.
you're pretty much golden. So even if you
Yeah.
have like how I have the Mojo, or not the Mojo, but the Mogo Pivot or whatever, you can
hmm
do it on that with your phone, and I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and see the one thing about that, I saw your post about it's you can put it on the Kindle, the Fire TV.
Right.
Um, the one difference, I side loaded it on my Nexus 7, and it it has the full access to all the games. Not all the games work, properly, but they're all there. You can see all your purchase history. Every single game is right there. So I mean, that's quite interesting to see. I don't know how it works, but it was different when you because on the Mojo, it only allows you to see what's compatible, I guess, or what actually works completely. So that was quite interesting to see all the games being available on the Nexus 7. So
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah, they only do. I think there's only certain games that are compatible, but that's pretty much what
yeah,
Ouya said was going to happen with the Ouya Anywhere. Is there's like a certain benchmark for compatibility, and then past that, there's just not going to be available. So that's probably what we're seeing there.
right. But I guess, but at the same time, if yeah. you're right. I was just gonna say that yeah, because like I played what was it the new Dragon, not Dragon, Zombie Age of the, I forgot. I got had a brain fart. But that game, the controls didn't really work that well. Age of Zombies, that's what it is. There it is. Yeah, like when I was playing on the Nexus 7, the controls worked, but then they kind of like it wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. So there's I guess a few things that they might have to fix for each each device, like you said. Um, Also, Ouya announced this week they partnered with Bounty Hunter. They have a Ouya console wallpaper design contest, and so they have submissions are up, or you can submit now until the 23rd of August, and then once all of the submissions are in, then you can start voting, and uh, they're giving away swag and T-shirts and Ouya credits for for the just voting. So if you get three up the first 200 votes are eligible to win a Ouya hoodie, a total of 5 via random drawing. The next 300 voters will be eligible to win an Ouya T-shirt. There's 5 of those also, and then all remaining voters will be eligible to win a $10 Ouya credit. And there's 5 of those also. So it's a win-win for voters and for the designers for creating a wallpaper, and you can have your wallpaper right here on all your Ouya, oh man, all the Ouyas that are out there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We actually we're gonna be doing basically the story about this on our Monday update because that's our news update day. But the guys from Bounty Hunter contacted us via email, and they basically told us that that they wanted us to participate and all that, and I'm totally down for it. I mean, I can't do artistic anything worth a lick, but I'll certainly put something in there because it's better than not doing anything. I don't care if it's
Right.
bad or not; it's better than nothing. So
Yeah, I mean, and I'm gonna try to do something too. I mean, there's a maximum of 5 submissions allowed. So hey, put hey, there's a chance for us to win to get featured right there on the Ouya.
absolutely, but the sucky thing about it is I like my custom wallpaper, man. I want to see my wallpaper, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
At least they're they know that we're interested in the wallpaper, so they might do this, and then maybe eventually allow us to do it to upload
Wouldn't
it on.
That would be awesome. I
Yep.
would love to be able to like just do my own wallpaper, side load it somehow and then have it just pick it up. But I mean, I can do it now, but what I'm saying, easier, like just switch it on and off.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think it's time. You want to introduce this guy that's just sitting in the wings waiting, or I
Well,
mean,
I'm sorry, Davis, but let me just make a one quick announcement. They have a couple games that are coming out on Ouya. We have House of the Lost, I believe it is.
like the TV show Lost? I love that TV show.
No, it's a game that's coming out this Tuesday. And let me real quick. I should have had this ready. But yeah, House of the Lost arrives on Ouya this Tuesday, and they're on the developers are on Twitter at F5 Games, and it's an interesting game that they've been screenshot Saturdays on there. So that's coming this Tuesday. Then the developer of Duck Game, Landon, he's coming out with another game, and it's like what is it? It's like another platform game. It's called Super Puzzle
Platypus game.
Platform. Puzzle Platform Deluxe, I believe it's called. And that's supposed to be coming out in about, I think on the 29th or five more days. Yeah, I think it's the 29th, somewhere like that. But
That's
yeah,
pretty
there's
cool. And the just kind of a side note, the House of the Lost. If you just Google that, the very first link is to the iTunes store, so you can kind of get some screenshots. If it's the same game, which I'm assuming it is, you can get some screenshots in advance before it hits you, yeah, just to kind of see what it's going to look like.
I don't know if that is.
Well, there's a game called House of the Lost on the iPhone or Apple, whatever. It's kind of cool looking. Hope it.
Let's see. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So that's
So
kind
yeah,
of neat.
so yeah, it's been out on the iOS since March. So it's kind of cool that they eventually ported it over to the Ouya.
Sweet. All right.
Sweet.
Well, I already tried one introduction, so now it's your turn.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, OUYAns all over the world. We have Davis Sickman here. He's the developer of Jumpman Forever, so he's no stranger to the Ouya. He's developed for the Ouya. He's developed for iOS, Android, probably everything else under the sun. But it's good to have him here with us, and he's going to talk about his game that's being kickstarted right now called Crucible. And Davis, can you give us...
How are you, man?
Canned audience, that's awesome.
That's right.
I did not expect that.
Well, you know.
Anyways, hi, how you doing?
We're
Good. So I guess we'll start with your the one you already got in the Ouya, which is Jumpman Forever. Let's go with that one first and tell us about it a little bit for those who don't know.
Jumpman Forever is kind of a resurrection of an old game that was popular on the Atari 2600 or Atari 400, 800, and Commodore 64 era, called Jumpman, oddly enough. And it was kind of a unique game down in its time period, both in how some of the gameplay mechanics worked and the fact that, well, one, it was large. During that time period, most games had 3 or 4 levels and they just kind of looped around. Jumpman actually had 32 levels. The sequel had 18, I think it was. Actually, the original author referred to it as a light version, not a sequel. The physics were a little bit different. You're used to Mario. If you hit the wall and you slide off, you die. And Jumpman, for instance, you'd grab on and you climb up. Missing a jump was not necessarily the end of the world.
Right.
On the other hand, the main character, Jumpman, has one ability. He jumps. That's pretty much it. Not particularly high either, about his height. And modern games, we've gotten used to the idea of in-air control. Jumpman doesn't do that. Once you leave the ground, that's the direction you're going until you hit the other side or don't. So it makes for a very different gameplay style. And additionally, all of the levels were designed around the concept of being puzzles in one way or another. You had elements that randomly harassed you, but there was an overall puzzle within each level that you had to figure out how it worked. And Jumpman Forever is back actually originally in 2000 is when this game started. It was originally going to be called Jumpman 2049. And unfortunately, I got distracted on other things. There's been many things that happened along the way, and ended up last year resurrecting the concept. And to be quite honest, part of what resurrected the concept was seeing the Ouya Free the Games Fund. It was a rare opportunity when somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to hand you some money if you bring it to our platform."
Right.
In fact, actually, I'm mystified, absolutely mystified, that they have not run out of cash on it. They set $1 million aside to do it, and how developers have not taken advantage of that to the maximum, I'm shocked. There's just not that many companies that will hand you free money.
Right.
But Jumpman Forever takes the original game, extends it a couple of little places here and there, but keeps all of those core elements I described. Jumpman jumps up about as high as he is tall. Once you hit jump, that's the direction you're going to go until you hit the other end. He climbs up girders rather than smacking on the side and falling down like Mario-based games. All the game levels are puzzles, combination of action and thinking puzzles, with some random elements to drive you nuts. That's really the quick recap of it. Plus, the game is the way we've got it scheduled is about every 3 or 4 months we're releasing more levels for it. Usually each pack is going to be somewhere between 16 to 32 more levels. So when we're done, and it's for the next 2 years that we're planning on doing that, so when it's done, we're going to end up with an enormous game with just an amazing amount of challenges. Plus, we're going to be putting a level editor in and a sharing community so that right there from the Ouya or on the PC and Mac and a couple other platforms later, you'll be able to just, you know what, I'm tired of the levels I've got. What else we got out there? And pull stuff up from the community. Never have to leave the game or anything.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, level sharing, level editor, quarterly free level packs. That's awesome.
Yes, and I do have to say, unfortunately, and this is entirely my fault, is that I am behind on the current level pack, and part of it was a couple of delays on another project I had going, and right now we're beta testing the PC and Mac versions, right. And the idea for the second level pack was going to be we're going to release it at the same time. That way, you know, we've got the excitement of having released the PC and Mac versions and the Ouya level, the Ouya pack to also kind of keep it exciting on the Ouya platform.
Quick question. What how do you develop? What I guess what program or what language do you develop in?
Actually, a lot of it's done in Haxi.
Okay.
Haxi is a cross-platform language that, relatively speaking, is designed to emulate the concepts of Flash's original action script language. Okay. The advantage to what I'm using, the engine I'm using is actually called Stencil, and I usually hate to admit that because Stencil, if you ask me, it's a fairly unprofessional environment, but surprisingly, you can get some really professional results out of it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's kind of interesting because it means that when I'm done and I hit compile, I can compile it for PC, Mac, iOS, Android, and I did some modifications so I could also ship for Ouya, which is basically just enabling joystick controls and things like that.
Right. All right, that's cool.
So I'm gonna be the jerk because I've got to be. I mean, I've got no shame in my game. I'm gonna be the jerk. I'm gonna ask the question: why is there no longer a free demo for Jumpman Forever?
There was never a free demo.
I thought there was at the beta. Am I incorrect in that?
It was just a beta. That's all it was.
Okay. So there's no more. Okay. Well then, let me take it a step further. Why not offer a demo for Jumpman Forever? And I'm totally cool with whatever answer you give me. I'm just curious because normally, if you ever listen to our podcast, right, I am very, very much on the team of at least bare minimum a free demo for the Ouya because that's what it was founded on. That's why I love it. And there's tons of games out there, and I'm always like, why don't you put a free demo? Why don't you put a free demo? I've never actually got to ask a developer like the actual reason behind. So I'm very curious. I'm not upset or anything. I'm really actually curious as to why you took that route as a developer.
Well, since you're being a big jerk and you're asking the question.
Yeah,
Actually, I think it's a very valid question. And hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, my screen suddenly changed like I was no longer there. Anyways, there's a couple of reasons. One of them is kind of traditional. I've been in game development and exited game development and came back to game development. Where I left off was I went through the whole shareware phase. Offer the demo and people unlock it. Eventually, the shareware phase ran into the we're just going to go ahead and do a demo and you can download it later. And slowly but surely, I don't know how to describe it. It has to do with conversion rate.
Right.
With the Ouya, and I'm not the only developer with this. I have my doubts on the everything was going to be free and then you pay if you want to play it. The problem is that you motivate players through the ads, etc., etc. If they like it and you get the purchase, that's great. If they start playing it, when you have a platform where everything is free to try, it's amazing how hard it is to compete. And so when they announced, I think it was Tag, I can't remember his name. One of the folks at Ouya told me that it was available. I'm like, you know what, we're going to do that. And I probably will continue. I can't say whether I'm going to continue to go that route or not. Each platform is so different to deal with, and you're probably the second person who's asked me why, which indicates to me that I'm not getting like a bunch of uproar from the community going, God, you're a jerk. Why isn't it free to play? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? We're not getting any backlash from it, any commentary whatsoever. Besides you guys and one other press person, I don't remember who it was, had asked the question. So I haven't decided what, as a developer, from a business model, what does this mean to me and what doesn't it mean to me. We may, in the future, look at, I've got one title that I've got to port over that really I don't really consider to be a great game in any way, shape, or form. Then I'm going to port over, and I may test it with that and see what difference that I see in conversion rates and things like that.
Well, I mean, I only ask because, before I even started, Ouya Brew, I was the consumer, and I still am, I saw the console, I saw the free-to-play model that everybody had, and I thought, well, this is just terrific. I get to decide whether or not I want to buy a game based off of a demo. You can't ask for much more than that. And then when they took that away, where it was like the developer gets to decide, I was very just on the fence. I'm like, okay, I understand that the developer gets to decide, and I'm totally okay with that. If I was a developer, I would want that decision as well. But I'm still a consumer, and on the consumer side of me, I'm just like, well, wait a minute, we were promised, one thing, and now it's not that one thing. And, we've talked to Bob Mills and Jared Yeager and so forth about it, and I definitely understand more now why it is that way. But I've never talked to a developer who hasn't had a demo yet, and so I was really more just curious to get your thoughts on why you decided to go that route. And there's no right or wrong answer for it. There's really not. It's just we've never really been face-to-face with anybody that has said, no, this is the route we're going and here's why. So I was more curious than anything.
And I think it is incredibly complex. The answer and the question both are incredibly complex because from a developer standpoint, iOS and things like that, they hit the button, they download it, they buy it, boom, they're done. And that model's kind of changed actually for iOS and Android. It's starting to get into what Ouya was offering, which is how many games do you see on iOS now that it's listed as a free game, and then you have to buy it later to go any further with it, or you buy in-app purchases. And I have this huge thing against in-app purchases and the way they're being used now, both as a developer, as a business model, and as a player. I cannot stand in-app purchases. I've got a game on my phone right now that I downloaded that it made me roll my eyes. What was the name of it? Hang on just a second. I'm going to pull this up because I thought it was hilarious. Cascade was the name of it. It's a match-3 puzzle game, and they developed elements into it specifically, like lives. Well, eventually you run out of lives. And, well, if you want to play some more, you can buy some more lives for today until you run out. So it's a consumable process. Right. So another factor in why I didn't really want to offer it as a free demo is that whole in-app purchase mentality. I want the player to buy the damn thing and feel like they're never going to have to pay for anything else again.
Right.
Well, I mean, and that's totally fine because, like you said, you're doing like level releases and things for it too, right?
Yeah, those are free.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're included with the.
And I think that's totally cool, and I'm not saying anything bad about that at all. Especially people that like you, who continue to develop and continue to offer your people who have bought the game something. Even if it's a level every 6 months, it's something. I mean, and like you said, they don't feel like they ever have to pay for it again. Whereas those in-app purchases, it's like it's a pay-to-win model, and nobody likes that.
Yeah, and I've gotten tired of seeing it. And yeah, I'm hoping that when I'm done in 2 years, that I can sit down and write all of my experience for Jumpman Forever and say, look, every time we release new levels, even though we didn't charge for it, this is what sort of surge in new downloads and new purchases we saw. You don't have to do the in-app purchase model as an indie to still make it. That's what I'd love to say. I don't know if that's really going to be the truth, though.
Right.
That's what you want it to be.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can make conclusions before the data is out, and it doesn't mean anything.
Well, enough about that. Let's talk about Crucible, and I'm gonna let Brandon go ahead because I'm talking too much. But tell us about Crucible.
I don't know nothing about it. I'm not the developer.
You're funny, man.
I know it's coming to Ouya.
He's gonna be the quizzer. That's what I was trying to get at.
Brandon, do you have any questions?
One thing I did want to ask you is on the Kickstarter. Is there a way to do add-ons? Because I said I backed it, but I want to add on just another purchase of the game that you have for $2 on top of what I'm paying for the beta.
Actually, what you can do is you can go back and if you're trying to go from say the $2 hey you get the game to the $5 hey you get the beta.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do with that is go back and there's a spot where I think it's right where it says back this project. If you click it, it'll give you the option, take you to another screen where you can up your donation level.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to buy 2 copies, that is more difficult. I have not figured out how to get a quantity out of stuff like this, and it's actually factored in for me. Because we own 2 magazines, Residential Aliens magazine and Fear of Trembling magazine, that we're getting ready to start publishing on again. We bought the magazines off the previous publisher at the beginning of the year, and part of what we were selling or offering as rewards, depending on how you look at it, is ads in those magazines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got some interest in it, and so a couple of people said, "Hey, yeah, you know what? I want one for my roofing company." And one for the construction company. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. But they couldn't actually select 2 of them and have them fill 2 pledges for that same item. They could only do they could fill out a number and say, okay, well I'm going to do it for $2,000, but that doesn't actually give them the pledge level. I actually have to know what they were looking for. So kind of weird.
I'm trying to think because I've seen other. Kickstarters offer the add-ons, but I can't think of how they did it. I just know that they probably had to indicate what you were the price that you put, and then maybe in the options say it was for this and that or whatever extras that you wanted to add. Because I remember seeing stuff like that where you can get the beta, and then if you wanted to purchase more than one game, but I was just curious if that was something that Kickstarter offered, where you can do the add-ons.
Yeah, I'm trying to. And actually, now that you've mentioned it and it's come up again, and I've already ran into problems with it, I'm Googling it yet again right now, because otherwise my ADHD is going to kick in later. I'm going to forget to Google it, and I don't really see how this plays out beyond upping your
amount.
Your amount, and then later on at the end of Kickstarters, you get a survey. And that's what a couple of people have implemented at, which was you up your level, and then later they're going to take care of asking everybody, okay.
Right. What did you pay for?
Yeah, exactly. Which seems a little confusing, but.
Right. Okay. So tell us about Crucible and that humanity's time has run out.
Crucible is what would have happened if the guys that developed Gauntlet had decided to use Terminator rather than Dungeons. This would be the best way to describe it. Terminator meets Gauntlet. Are you guys familiar with the old Gauntlet arcade game?
Right.
Which is just the way Gauntlet worked was it was tons and tons of enemy. I mean, just crushing you with enemies. As a standard dungeon crawl as you're headed down. It had a very specific charm to it, though, because of the way it worked, which you see some of the elements from Gauntlet in a lot of modern action/RPG games, like the concept of generators. They sit there and they create new bad guys all the time at a certain speed. Things like that show up. With Crucible, we came up with a rather unique plot line that basically starts at the end and works its way back to the beginning. The player is doing a lot of time travel, trying to find out basically where it is at that an AI has gone back in time with robots and everything else to destroy humanity. Basically, they wake up one day and everything around them is gone, and now they've got to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. And it is very much an action game. There are RPG elements in it. However, one of my pet peeves on a lot of games that have RPG elements is that it slows down gameplay. As you're going along, every time you level up, you're having to make that momentary choice of, can I stop now and level up my character or my weapons, or do I need to wait until this combat's over? And it just kind of slowly drags things down. With Crucible, death plays an important factor. Basically, you don't get to, if you fail at a level, you're going to end up back at the beginning of the level, and that is your opportunity to level up your character. So one, you're going to be challenged throughout the game. And if you hit a level that is challenging enough to wipe you out, when you go back, you're going to get a chance to power yourself up a little bit and hopefully crank on through that level. If you fail, you're going to go back to it again, and you can still build up experience enough, hopefully, to take on that level. In fact, that's one of the difficulties with what we're dealing with right now, is getting the concepts of that balance down right, so the player feels like they're being challenged all the time, but at the same time, they're not so challenged that they're having to play the same level 6 or 7 times just to get past it.
Okay.
And it's conceptually, it's a top-down 2D dual stick game.
Kind of like Gauntlet.
Exactly.
So this is not entirely off topic, but just kind of. I was looking at the trailer for it, and I got to ask, was that T.S. Eliot you were quoting at the beginning there?
Yeah, roughly. Okay. It's not an exact quote.
Paraphrasing.
Yes.
I was like, hey, wait a minute, I know that quote, kinda.
I was wondering how many people would actually ever identify what that was from.
You know, the only reason I know what it is because it was at the beginning of the 90s version of The Stand, the made-for-TV movie. That's the only reason I know what it is.
I hadn't thought about that. You're right.
Yeah, good movie. But so no, I definitely like the way that that game style is. I know what's the other game that's kind of like the Gauntlet, Heroes of Loot. That's kind of that's like top down, like you were talking about. Yeah. There's actually a couple of 2D top-down dual stick shooters and such on the Ouya already. We're separating ourselves out through the use of time travel and things like that. There's a couple of them that are actually kind of decent. And you're going to ask me which ones. I don't remember. We would never put you on the spot like that, man.
Well, of course not. Never. Yeah. Why don't you support in-app purchases? What? No pressure, man. No pressure.
What's the name of all the 12 playable characters now? I'm just.
You might be able to tell us that.
I actually can't reveal them. I can only reveal 6 of them because if you look at the Kickstarter, some of the bragging rights is the ability to name them.
Okay.
That's pretty awesome. So speaking of your Kickstarter, it looks like right now you got about 5 days left. You're at about 7,800, and you're going for a full 10. What do you think the odds are you're going to reach it? Because I think you're doing pretty darn good for how far in you are.
We will reach 10, and I say that with great. Well, we will reach within $200 of 10,000. The reason why I know that is. A lot of what I did is I talked to a lot of businesses ahead of time. Hey, this is what we're doing. Here's what we're offering up as rewards. Are you interested? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of my field previous to this stint in game development was doing a lot of web development, software development, app development, things like that. So I decided to leverage a lot of that. I did it with Jumpman Forever also. And say, guys, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm offering back. Here's why I think this is an awesome choice for you. And we have one more corporate level backer, and that will put us within $200 of making it. Oddly enough, I do not consider that to be a win, though. Since we're part of the Free the Games Fund, we actually have to reach 100 backers. So while we might have some really cool, we've got 4 businesses that have backed us, and we're going to have a 5th one before we're done. We still have to reach, 100 backers to take advantage of the Free the Games Fund. Which, the way I've set the budget up for this puts me in a pickle, because if I reach 10,000 and only have the let's say I reached 10,000 tomorrow, and that was the end of the Kickstarter, and only had 62 backers, we don't get any money off the Free the Games Fund. The budget is built off the idea of making it on the Free the Games Fund. So I'm kind of white knuckling it right now.
Well, hopefully those of us, or those of you guys that are listening to the podcast, which I tell all the developers this when they come on to the show, most of our listeners actually don't listen live, and we're kind of going to have to review that. They listen after the fact just because, we do it at 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Lots of people are out, or they're just not, able to listen live. So, but if you are listening, it's all you got to do is pledge $1 just to back them and get this game to the Ouya and help out their efforts. So how many people do you guys, how many people are on your team that developed this game?
4. And I'm the only guy I'm the full-time programmer and all that good stuff. So everybody else is kind of part-timer, throw in here, throw in there, some level design stuff here and there, some artwork. Sound, we mainly just licensed in all the music for it. Sound effects, on the other hand, those have still got to be done. So it's only a 4-man team, and like I said, I'm the only full-timer at the moment. Our goal is actually to have a full-time team where everybody's full-timers, and actually, kind of to plug another project of mine. One of the things I'm doing is something called the Kansas Game Developers Association. Here in Kansas, we've got a kind of a economy that's, particularly in Wichita, Kansas, we've got an economy that's based around aerospace construction, and, well, that's not really doing well anymore. So there's a lot of startups around town and stuff that are trying to advocate tech. And Kansas Game Developers Association, both for video games and for real-world games like tabletop miniatures, board games, stuff like that. The idea is to start fostering a community of developers. And part of the way we're going to do that is if I can get to the point that we have a full-time studio set up, I'm going to start bringing people in to intern and get experience in game development. And get them an education in it, and trying to, I can't say it's going to turn the town around by any means. One little game developer is not going to do that, but at least to hopefully help foster the development of a couple more studios here in the local area.
Right.
And the reason why I mention this in association with like Jumpman Forever and Crucible is that in the process of doing these, this is part of what's being supported in a way, is to get our team online as a full-time thing, getting them developing. Like, for instance, we got quarterly updates for Jumpman Forever that we're going to be doing. Somebody's going to do that.
Right.
And unfortunately, it probably won't be me, even though I think that's probably one of the most fun things in the world to do, level design. So it's a process that we're trying to build up, and hopefully trying to foster and build up other companies and things like that around here too. If that made any sense, I just realized I went completely off and rambling.
It's all right. But and I see, so if you guys are listening later on, you have 5 days to pick up this game on Kickstarter. You can back it for $2, and it's going to be, when it releases on Ouya, it'll be $3.99.
Which is it's also the price of Jumpman, right? $3.99.
$3.99, yes.
Okay. So, Davis, we got like about 5 more minutes left. What are you playing on the Ouya or on your PC or Mac or whatever you got? What are you playing that's not obviously your own games? Because I'm sure by the time your games are released to market, you're probably sick of playing them because you've been testing them so much. So, what else do you play?
The honest truth, if I was going to be sick of playing one of my own games by the time it shipped, I didn't do the game well.
Good point. Good point.
I've got to be able to. Now, I'll admit, I would probably enjoy it more if somebody else had written the same game because there would be a lot more surprises. Right now, well, and one of them that I'm playing right now is Populous 2. Just complete throwback to the late 80s, early 90s gaming. And there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you the reason in a second. Oddly enough, the one that I end up is kind of like my go-to game for some reason at the moment is Pinball Arcade. I love classic pinball machines, and they license. I don't know if you've ever played it with it, but they license in a lot of the old classic tables.
Oh yeah.
They're one of the few ones. You know, I said I have this big thing against in-app purchases. They're one of those times the in-app purchases make sense because every one of those they have to license separately.
Right.
Everything else, and you know, for $4.99 for 2 tables, okay, I'm all right with it. They're not trying to sell me, you know, an extra life. So that's probably my go-to game at the moment. On the Ouya, I really haven't been playing much lately. And
they have that game on the Ouya.
They do, and I'm actually playing it on my iPad. The problem with playing things on the Ouya is the Ouya, and you can't see my office here, otherwise you'd understand. The Ouya is part of my development setup, so it's actually usually running a copy of one of my games.
All right.
So I don't get to play other things on it. So, and as speaking of Populous 2, one of the reasons why I'm playing that one is a lot of research for something that we will be kicking off right as Crucible is ending. We're doing one more Kickstarter. The Ouya Free the Games Fund ends on August 31st, and we're going to try to do it one more time with a title called P3V3, which if you ever played Populous and Populous 2 back in the age, I don't know if you're familiar with them. Looking at you guys, questioning if you guys know what it is.
Yeah, no, I've played it. I haven't gotten into it as much, but I definitely know the mechanics of it.
Yeah. Populous 2 was like the most awesome, boring game ever made. It was a God sim that was like the granddaddy to almost all God sims that we see nowadays. The only problem I ever had with it was paced really, really slow. The same guys also wrote a couple of other games that I really, really enjoyed, like Dungeon Keeper. And P3V3 is a kind of a double-header game setup where it's half the game is Populous 2, the other half is Dungeon Keeper. You get to play either side. So that's a lot of the stuff that I've been playing when it comes to playing Populous and Populous 2 has been research to get the right flow and feel for it.
So please tell me we're talking original Dungeon Keeper and not that god-awful remake for the iPad thing that they released.
I wanted to beat somebody with a stick over that. You want to talk about that whole in-app purchases thing I've got a problem with. That's a great example. I love Dungeon Keeper. I love Dungeon Keeper 2. I have them loaded on my machine from GOG, and I was excited to hear that there's going to be an iOS version, and I saw the first review, and I'm like, how the hell do you screw this up? Really? You were shooting fish in a barrel. You could have made this.
In 10 years, it'll be like StarCraft for iOS. You know, you're gonna be able to do SU or SCVs, but if you want to, train Marines, you're gonna have to pay for those. And
would you like to Zerg Rush for $1.99?
Oh, that's so bad.
So yeah, no, I'm talking about the classics, and they actually use a combined game engine setup that I've been working on, and we're going to be kicking that off real soon here, and I'm really looking forward to getting feedback on this because, like the landscape engines and things like that, we really went old school with it, and I'm curious to see what everybody thinks when we pull it out.
I love it, man.
All right, so how about you plug all your Twitter, Facebook, all that, and where people can get in contact with you and find more information about your development.
Okay, let's see. Let me see if I can cover them all. Facebook.com/MidnightWriter is just me. If you really want to see the company site, which rarely gets updated, because I'm bad at that, I really need to hire somebody whose job it is just to do social media for me, or at least keep the company's site updated. Facebook.com/MidnightWriter Technologies is the company. You catch me on Twitter at Twitter.com/MidnightWriter. Or, by the way, Midnight Writer, RYDER, because I'm that guy. Had to misspell it when I created it. I'm on Google Plus. Look for me as Davis Ray Sigmund Jr. You can find the company site at MidnightWriter.com. Again, RYDER. MidnightWriter.org is kind of my blog and whatever I want to talk about site. JumpmanForever.com is for Jumpman Forever. BreakTheCrucible.com is the site for Crucible, which you can start reading some of the backstory we have for Crucible and stuff like that on there. You know, you can check all that out, and then you can go contribute to Crucible. What else? Yeah, I'm on like too many things.
Kickstarter.com, search for Crucible.
Yes, that one right there. That's really important. You can also find a link to it at BreakTheCrucible.com.
Alrighty. And we're glad we're thankful that you're on the show with us and we're able to talk to you about your game development and especially oriented around Ouya. I mean, that's what our podcast is all about, and we're glad that you're trying to help bring some more games to the Ouya.
Oh, it's definitely amazing.
I'm really. I was dubious for a while on how well Ouya was going to do, but I've been watching a lot of the announcements and the things that are going on. I'm really starting to think that they actually are going to have a pretty good success, and I'm rooting for it. And I've also been kind of telling a lot of developers, man, you really ought to check it out. It's worthwhile.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I really like it. I mean, because anybody could develop. You don't even have to be no programming to develop for the Ouya. I heard earlier today on the Ouya's weekly dev open office hours, they were talking about Construct 2. It's I guess a program that you can use, and you don't have to have any developing knowledge. So hey,
be careful with that though.
Hey, hang on. I'm going to say this because I think I've heard that, and there's a bunch of game engines out there that say you don't need to know how to program.
I guess it's some stuff. I guess for in-app purchasing and maybe the controller.
And actually, there's a whole bunch. What they really mean is you don't have to type. Right. Usually, what they are is building block type setups where you drag and drop, and then you set you set your variables for it. Blah blah blah. You're still programming.
Right.
So even though they say that, man, I hate that phrase because it's not right.
Oh yeah, no, there's no easy road. I mean, and even if there is going to be an easy road, like we've seen apps that I'm not going to mention, but we've seen apps that have been created on the Ouya that basically are nothing more than just a redirect to a website, and it's like you can't cheat your way out of it, or it's not going to be any kind of quality. So.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool,
Thanks again for being with us, and we look forward to playing Crucible on the Ouya.
All right.
Wait, I got one more. Here we go. Yeah! Thank you, Davis.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and thank you for listening. This is the OUYAcast. Every Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch us on Twitter at Ouya Central TV and at Ouya Brew. You can follow us on or visit our websites at ouyacentral.tv and ouyabrew.com. Thanks for joining us. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
I still need some water.
Thanks for having me.